Over just the last year, I have helped countless families move to Lethbridge, Alberta. And through these transactions, I have started to notice a distinct pattern of mistakes that these buyers have made that have made their move much more difficult had they had not had these tips prior to moving. So if you're thinking about moving to Lethbridge, then this video is for you. And make sure you stick around to hear all 5 points because the 5th point is crucial and it could actually prevent you from losing your dream home. So the first mistake that buyers make when moving to Lethbridge is worrying too much about the town or what neighborhood they want to move in. Now, yes, of course, it's super important to find a safe neighborhood with all the amenities that are important to you and your family. I get that. But if you're somebody moving from BC or Ontario, like a big city like Vancouver or Toronto, for example, what you need to realize is that Lethbridge is a lot smaller and a lot faster to get around in compared to, well, almost any big city. I mean, if you drove from one end of Lethbridge to the other, it's literally just a 20-minute drive. So what I tell my clients is to find the house that you love, and the commute is gonna feel like nothing in comparison to what you're normally used to. So the second mistake buyers make when moving to Lethbridge is they start looking at houses too early in the process. And this is a tricky one. And what I mean by this is that many times couples and families are thinking about making the move, but they know they're not gonna be ready for 6 months down the road, for example. So they jump on my app, which I'll get to in a second, don't worry, we'll talk about the app. But they'll jump on the app and they'll start looking obsessively and trying so hard to find their dream home. And when they do find their dream home, they realize that it's actually gonna be gone before they're actually ready to write an offer. So by all means, feel free to browse listings as much as you want and as early as you want in the process, but please remember not to get emotional over any of the homes you see before you're actually ready to buy, because it just gets heartbreaking. Instead, browse these listings so you can get an idea of what price range you're in and what you can actually get in this market. So as a realtor, unfortunately, my image is actually kind of important. And for me, it's hard for me to strike that balance in between being professional and looking modern. And that's why I wear Cuts clothing on the daily. Not only is the product very fashion forward and high end, but the quality is amazing. And I pretty much know that anything they put out is gonna look great on me. And right now, from November 10th all the way to December 1st, Cuts is having their annual Black Friday sale, where you can get 25 to 50% off of all Cuts clothing products using the link down below. But I'm gonna warn you, this stuff is gonna sell out fast. So be sure to use that link to get your discount code, and I would order early rather than later before it's gone. So the third mistake buyers make is that they just don't understand the Lethbridge market. So depending on what city or town you're coming from, I can guarantee you that the Lethbridge market here is different than the housing market that you're used to. Now, how can I guarantee that? Well, because all markets are different. But Lethbridge specifically is super safe and stable. Yes, there has been a shift since we've seen record low interest rates, and now we're seeing record high interest rates, but it's nowhere as near as a dramatic shift in the market as what I see happening in Vancouver and Toronto. As a general rule of thumb, in Lethbridge, you cannot expect to pay a crazy amount over list price in a hot market, and you can also expect not to be snatching up houses for significantly less than their list price either in a slow market. But when you're ready to start looking at houses, we can chat about specifically where the market is at, because right now, this market is changing fast, especially with rising interest rates. And if you want to learn how interest rates are specifically being affected in the Lethbridge housing market, I'll link to my video here that I posted last week specifically about that topic. So you can watch that video after this one. The fourth mistake that buyers make is either driving around calling signs or just calling random realtors online off of Realtor.ca, for example. The general consensus out there that I've found is that if you call the listing agent, that you're gonna get a better deal on the house than if you brought your own realtor. But this just isn't always the case, and I have no clue why people do this. So let me explain. A listing agent is hired by a seller to sell their house for top dollar. So if you call a listing agent that's already under contract with the seller to sell their home for the best price possible, what makes you think that they're gonna have your best interest in mind for their clients? Now, I'm not saying that you're gonna get a bad deal out of this, or I'm not saying either that if you're working with one agent that's representing the buyer and seller, that they're gonna treat you differently and one's gonna get preferential treatment over the other. But what I am saying is that it's super important to choose a realtor that's reputable, that you can trust, and that you know is gonna be on your side, rather than just calling some realtor and hoping that they're gonna represent you as much as you deserve. Now, before I get to the fifth and final tip that is probably the most important, down in the description below is a link to my app that I talked about earlier. It has every single listing available on the MLS. It has a built-in mortgage calculator, and you can set up your favorite list as well. so that when you're ready to move to Lethbridge, you have all those lists ready to go and we can start booking showings. There's also a link to auto email listings as well, so you can sign up, and every time a new listing hits the market in the Lethbridge area, you're gonna be the first one that's notified. All you have to do is go down and type in your desired criteria, and I'll set that up for you. And you're not gonna get any spam or high pressure emails. You're gonna get the listings and a personal email from me, and that's it. And the fifth and biggest mistake that I've actually witnessed crash deals and kill dreams is underestimating the market that you're coming from. A specific example is that I had a client from Toronto who found their absolute dream home right here in Lethbridge. Probably because they made mistake number 2 and they fell in love with their dream home too fast. So they found their dream home here, but they still just sell their home, and they were confident that back in their market that their home was gonna sell fast, and homes in their area were still selling faster than anywhere else in the city. So we wrote an offer in Lethbridge on their dream home, conditional on their home selling back in Toronto. And in the offer, we asked the seller here for a 30-day condition period. So we had 30 days to sell their home in Toronto. So my clients got home, got their home listed, and were ready for offers to come in, and they didn't receive one offer in 30 days because they overestimated how hot their market was back home. And unfortunately, we ended up losing their house here. It's tricky because on the other end of the spectrum, you have to sell your home first in Toronto, and then when you get here, you have to hope that there's something on the market that you're gonna fall in love with. So that's just something that you're gonna have to weigh out. But there is some things that we can do on our end to mitigate those risks. So if you are in that position, feel free to reach out to me and we can get in touch and go over some strategies that might help you out. But that's it for this video, and I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, please hit that like button. It actually helps me out. And if you never want to miss another video like this discussing the Lethbridge housing market or any of my weekly home tours, please hit that subscribe button so I can see you guys on the next one. Bye.